It's up to you.
Am I the judge?
How to frame?
I don't know if that's a good thing.
It's your movie.
Welcome, Bruce.
Hey.
Cheers.
Your very good health, sir. And here's to
good health, to not getting sick from our COVID vaccines.
That's right. or not getting sick from anything. I have been in remarkably good health. All the time I've been in Ghana.
Really?
Yeah. Much healthier than being in the US. So,
wow, that's amazing, huh?
Yeah. So one of the surprises about being in the Peace Corps to actually be healthier than being back home.
It's amazing.
So who would have guessed?
Who would have thought? But so I'm here with Bruce Bailey.
Hey.
Bruce Bailey is a Peace Corps Ghana education volunteer in my cohort. And we're going to just sit down and do a little chat. So first, we have to do the Peace Corps disclaimer, which is that nothing we say and do, I've added that, because you never know what happens,
That's right.
You don't know what happens. Is a, I think it's I say too much, but it's a statement from the U.S. government, opinion of the government, anything like that?
We are not making statements on behalf of the United States government.
Thank you. Bruce is the professional.
Well, that's right. We are individuals expressing our individual opinions.
Over Guinness.
Especially if they contradict opinions of the United States government.
Which, we don't have planned, but...
Even if they contradict opinions of the United States government.
Oh, but yeah. So, cool, Bruce. Thanks for being willing to chat.
The pleasure is entirely mine.
Cool. So, first, tell me a bit about your situation in Ghana. So, where are you? What are you teaching?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And real quick, I'm going to break the fourth wall. Would you like me to face the computer or face you?
Oh, whatever is comfortable for you.
How has everybody else been doing?
So I did this. You're the third. So I did Nikita.
Uh-huh.
I think Nikita and I pretty much looked at the computer.
Okay.
But then I did a video with my friend Charles.
Okay.
At site, and we just kind of chatted.
Okay.
So however you feel. I feel like I'll look at you.
Yeah. That sounds sad.
Yeah. I don't think the people.
Yeah.
Not many people, I assume, will watch these. It's more for my own memory's sake.
Okay.
And who knows? Maybe if someone is interested in Peace Corps Ghana, because I'll share this on YouTube.
Beautiful.
But yeah. So.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't think they'll mind.
Absolutely.
But yeah. So what's up with site and what's it like?
So I've been teaching math at the Fodome Hello Roman Catholic Junior High School.
Okay.
For over a year now.
Yeah.
Just over a year, because we didn't start till October last year.
Right.
And there is a Roman Catholic church nearby, but if you went to the school, you would not notice that there was any particular Roman Catholic.
Gotcha. So nothing's really different.
That's right. There's an RME teacher. She teaches religion and moral education, but that's the regular government RME curriculum. Yeah. We have, if you count them all up, probably 10 teachers. They're not always there all the time.
Yeah.
And we have a bunch of desks in the staff room, but there's also a bunch of chairs and desks outside under the mango tree.
Okay.
And some of the teachers like to be outside under the mango tree. It's very, very relaxing.
The 10 teachers, is that for primary and JHS, or is that JHS?
That's just JHS. Okay. There's a Roman Catholic primary.
Gotcha. Okay. So your school is JHS only?
Yes, that's right. Okay. JHS only.
Gotcha. Yeah, my school is a basic school, which is KG1, KG2, primary, and JHS.
Whoa!
All on one.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So you have little kids and big kids.
Yeah, I have the little kiddos to the Form 3s. Yeah. So.
Running around.
Okay. So you're just JHS.
Yeah, but the primary's close by. We get little kids running over from the primary.
You know of them.
From time to time.
Okay. All right. And what subjects are you handling at the JHS?
I am only teaching math. I really lucked out. When I arrived last year, there were a couple of national service teachers.
Yep.
They were covering. Each one was covering. One was covering a year of math. One was covering a year of science. One was covering a year of CTE.
Okay.
And so we had more teachers than they knew what to do with.
Yeah.
And
it's a good problem to have.
That's right. And I got an easy assignment. Yeah. Then we lost the national service folks around December. Yeah. But by that time we had We had a couple of new regular teachers, new regular math teacher.
Okay. And those are full-time posted?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, sweet. That's a special. That's like Christmas.
Oh, it's Christmas year round at
posted teachers
at Fodome Hello.
Awesome.
That's right. Yeah. So I am still teaching. Still teaching just math.
Cool.
My official teaching responsibility is Form 2 math, but I do a lot of math activities.
Oh, wow.
With the whole school. So
cool.
so I mix it up with the especially this year because our headmistress decided that half an hour at the beginning of school is going to be numeracy and or literacy.
Wow.
And
that's really cool.
Yeah. It's not. We haven't totally adopted it, but
it's on the timetable.
It's given me an excuse for. That's right. I can go into
some activities.
I can grab any group of students at like 7:30 in the morning, saying, "Okay, it's time for a math crossword puzzle."
Fun.
Or some kind of activity.
Yeah, that's pretty unique.
And so we'll or sometimes just like some multiplication practice.
Yeah. So I know that you do some really awesome stuff at school with math, and I want to get to that. But I think you have a really interesting history before Peace Corps.
Oh yeah, I mean, I have a history.
I have a history.
That's right.
Yeah, like can you just kind of step through maybe what you were studying, what your schooling was, what your kind of work experience was, and
okay.
How'd you end up in Peace Corps?
Okay, so that's right. So 50 years ago, when I was in middle school, I won't say that my interests crystallized on math.
Yeah.
But that was kind of like the time when I started getting interested in math, not as more than just a subject at school.
Okay.
And then I continued being interested in high school to the point where when I finished high school, I thought, okay, I will go to college and major in math.
Yeah.
So that's what I did. And after going to college and majoring in math, I thought, okay, that was fun.
Continue.
Let's keep
So
going.
where did you do your undergrad?
Okay, so undergrad was at Cambridge University, where I have a family history. My father went to Cambridge University.
I didn't know.
His older brother and his older sisters one of his older sisters went to Cambridge University, so it's even though I was growing up in the U.S.,
you had some roots.
That's right. All the rest of the family was still in Great Britain.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's right. So it was not. So going to another country for college wasn't such a big deal because it was a country where I had family and connections and everything. It wasn't it was another country, but it wasn't a foreign country.
Sure.
So so that was fun.
So you majored at math at Cambridge.
Absolutely.
And you were like, I still want more.
Isaac, I was roommates with Isaac Newton.
What do you explain that? What do you mean?
Okay, well, maybe I wasn't.
Back that long ago.
Maybe I wasn't exactly roommates.
You dropped the apple on his head.
But
is that true?
That's right. If it hadn't have been for me, we still wouldn't have gravity.
We wouldn't have gravity.
We would not. We'd be floating around.
Spinning in space.
But Stephen Hawking really did run over my foot with his wheelchair. That's right. No apples.
That is
no
funny.
Apples. Real life. Yeah. That's right. So,
when did he study at Cambridge?
I had a brush. He was by the time I was there, I was a student, but he was a professor.
That's amazing.
So he was amazing, and I was also a little bit amazing, but
I'm sure
not as amazing as he was.
Oh, I'm sure
I was like in the right place at the right time.
If you're in the same sphere,
we made our world lines intersected.
That's amazing.
Absolutely. Yeah. So anyway, after that, Cambridge was a little bit of an anticlimax, and so for grad school, I came back to the US. Mm-hmm. And I really wanted to do something different, so I went to grad school in Cambridge, United States. So
yes, I see. Now, okay.
Okay, so I was a grad student at MIT for a couple of years, and I had a fantastic time. Mm-hmm. It was there's a lot of creative and wacky people.
Oh, it's an amazing place
at MIT.
It's just not MIT. Though you have Harvard, you have Boston College.
Yeah, that's right. Boston's
unbelievable.
vibrant. Yeah, that's right. and I had a fascinating research project and things like
what
that.
were you doing? I'm curious. People won't. I'm a math.
Yeah, that's right. So folks at home, computational fluid mechanics. So
how did I not know this?
Back in the 1980s, computers were itty bitty. Actually, they were enormous physically.
They were opposite.
But they
inverse.
But they had the same. But they had a tiny fraction of the computer power that's on your cell phone now.
Yeah.
But that was still more than anybody had ever had before.
Yeah.
And you could program up the Navier-Stokes equations on them and press enter, and the thing would start calculating. And a day later or a week later, you would come up with a simulation where you could ask it to print out any fluid quantity, velocity, pressure, temperature, anywhere in the flow you liked. It was an unparalleled
at that time.
Yeah. And the guy that I was working for was one of the world experts, and he was, anywhere except MIT, he would have been like revered as as the wonder child that he was. But the rest of the faculty at MIT didn't like that he was a bit of an upstart. And so there was friction, and eventually he decided to leave to go somewhere where he'd get a little bit more respect. And I did not, I wasn't getting any respect at the time anyway. So I followed him to Princeton University. Yeah. And Princeton was a good university, a very good university, but it didn't have the everything else that was going on in Boston.
Yeah.
There was only one thing happening in Princeton, and that was people studying.
Yeah.
And so
they have the Advanced Institute of Study?
Yeah, that's right.
Princeton?
That is what they did.
That's a big deal, yeah.
They would study, and that's what they did there too. They studied like
Drink
crazy.
tea and study.
Yeah, that's right. So I studied too.
Got my PhD.
I got my PhD in 4 years and 2 months.
That's amazing.
Which is
that's serious.
Well, that's right. The 2 months was. I could have done it in less than 4 years, but I still.
2 months.
I did my best to have a good time in Princeton. I had 2 months of a good time in Princeton. Wow. But yeah, that's right. And by that stage, I was stuck. I was like in the university world forever, and so I had after grad school I got a job as a research assistant at.
Now, you said you were stuck, but like. Because obviously, you're in that's what you're an expert in, right?
I was in the academic environment.
You're in that academic environment.
Yeah. Inside the ivory tower.
Did you feel like you wanted to do something else, but you felt it's like, no, this is your gig? You had drank the Kool-Aid.
I was all set.
Okay.
Yeah, that's right. And I liked being in Boston because of the music scene and the art scene and things like that. And I liked. And when I got a research assistant, when I got a postdoc, I was in New York City at New York University. And that was exciting too. Yeah. Music, art, culture, culture. All kinds of things. But I was, work was being a research mathematician. Yeah. And I was all about that. Very cool. Really good at it too.
Were you on the more theoretical side of computational fluid dynamics, or were you doing more?
I was more on the theoretical side.
Okay.
I did a lot of calculations. I did a bunch of theory.
Okay.
I was good enough at the calculations so that I could do calculations to test my theories and things like that. But I would.
It's surprisingly, I think, one of the fields of mathematics that gets a lot of attention and resources, because fluid dynamics is such a huge topic of applied physics and math and engineering.
It's everywhere outside.
Everywhere. Yeah. So I think that it's just a great field to be in.
Fluid science
is huge.
That's right. You cannot go outside and walk around without experiencing fluid flow and and unanswered questions. Yeah. There's a lot of questions and not so many answers.
It's a weird, it's a wacky. It's one of the things that I try to remind people, where people who study these things are the ones that actually they know how little we understand.
Oh.
But it's the people who they look at, theoretical mathematicians, physicists, engineers and whatnot, and they're like, oh, these people know what's going on. And it's like, no, they know that somehow we make things work. But really it's just enough factor of safety, or like, it's like it shouldn't break.
That's right.
We really don't know.
That's right. There's a lot. There's a lot out there that we don't know.
A lot we don't know.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. There's math, but then there's also like experimental science, and there's like design and prototypes and hunches, and people who are designing things. They'll go along doing something for a long time. Then they'll have an idea about how it could be done differently. That did not come from theory or experiment or anything. It just came from being creative. And then all of a sudden, whole new
area,
whole new world. So a lot of room for creativity.
There was when I was in my undergrad, there was a professor who was doing research in fluid dynamics and whatnot, but she did a lot of like non-Newtonian mechanics and fluids. And fascinating stuff. But very cool. So you did your PhD postdoc, and then after your postdoc, where'd you end up?
I got a job as a math professor.
Yes, where at?
And that was at the University of Arizona in Tucson.
Very cool.
So all of a sudden I was like in a whole new world.
And this is like tenure track, right?
Yes. Yes, that's right. And that's right. I went on to get tenure and stayed there for a long time.
Very cool.
And a lot of, but of course, when you get a real job, your life changes. Because
you're a college student, postdoc. It's all kind of.
That's right. When you're a student, it's mostly about you. You're doing things for you. You're getting your degree. You're working on your research, your thesis. Your publications.
You don't have to mind all those other things.
That's right. But when you're a professor, you have a job, and your job is to teach. And you're
department duties.
And you're teaching grad students, and you're teaching undergraduate students, and you are helping colleagues with they might come from a whole different field and have some math questions, and those colleagues are your friends because they have really interesting questions that you would never have thought of yourself. So I found a lot of
interesting things.
Yes. I had some whole new research directions because of people that came and
What's one of those that you still remember, or that's off the top of the head?
Well, one of them was there was a physics professor in who was doing experiments with some things called ferrofluids, which are basically like a regular liquid like water or oil. But you grind up magnets.
I was going to say it's like a magnetic, like a ferrous metal.
Basically you take powdered iron oxide, magnetized iron oxide, very, very small, so you mix it up and it doesn't settle out. But now you have a fluid that you can respond to
with
magnetic
forces.
Absolutely.
Really interesting.
And so he had put this thing inside a loudspeaker coil, and then turned on like different frequencies, and the fluid was jumping around and making all kinds of different patterns.
So is that with the speaker? Is that because of the vibration, or more of like the induced magnetic force?
It was the induced magnetic force. Absolutely. So he had taken away the rest of the speaker. It was just the coil. It was just the coil. So
you're visualizing the frequency of the speaker, not from noise, but from the magnetic field.
Exactly. The thing was totally silent.
Fascinating.
But
the thing was totally silent.
That's right. But you'd see these drops and ripples and patterns and things. So so that was fun. And okay, so we worked on that. We worked on that for a while, and that that was kind of like that was something I knew because it was fluids, it was magnetic fields, and I had worked on some astrophysical problems where there was magnetic fields. But then he had another student in the lab. He had a student in the lab who was working on something completely different, working on the kind of shapes that if you're depositing metal on a surface using electricity, it's like it's like the reverse of what happens in the battery if you have copper and zinc and acid and in a battery, and the acid dissolves the copper and the zinc, but it releases electrons with different energies of the copper and the zinc. So then those electrons will go one way and not the other. So that's how a battery works. But if you're not using that to make electricity like a battery, but you take electricity from the outside and put it in, then you can actually reverse the reactions. And if there is copper or zinc or anything dissolved in the electrolyte, it will migrate to the electrodes and settle out as metal.
Interesting.
And this is how this is one of the ways they refine copper. You'll have a solution of copper sulfate, but then you put a lot of electricity through it, and then you get chunks of solid copper. And it's also how they refine aluminum.
Really?
Yeah, because it's real hard to refine aluminum any other way, but you can
apply a current.
Yeah, you can melt aluminum ore, and then make electricity go through it, and anyway,
it'll settle. That's amazing.
And so what's so people have been doing this in the copper industry and the aluminum industry for years and years, and what happens is it doesn't just deposit as a solid block, but if part of it begins to stick out, that part of it's going to begin growing faster because it protrudes into the further into the electrolyte.
Into the field,
there's more electrolyte ready to. There's more.
It kind of grows. Like if you were to drop sand, like the top will get more sand high.
Exactly. And so there was this kid who was like supposed to be. So my friend was doing experiments, and the student was supposed to be doing like some computer simulations.
Turn this down so my computer doesn't die. The video will be normal.
Great.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, so the kid was supposed to do some numerical simulations.
Yeah.
But that meant that he had to have some equations, and they didn't know what the equations were.
Okay.
And so the kid came to me.
So this is like pretty early research. Like you're like, hey, here's an idea. Yeah. Let's formulate the physics.
Yes.
Which is really cool.
Absolutely. And it wasn't complicated physics. It was like chemistry.
Right.
But I didn't know any chemistry.
Yeah.
And the kid didn't know any chemistry, so we had to learn some chemistry. But there were things that we knew. So we were like banging heads and putting stuff together, and so we came up with some equations, and he did some simulations, and then he graduated, and he went off to grad school at Harvard, and worked on some other stuff for his PhD.
Yeah.
And then one day he got his PhD, and he needed a real job. And it was time to think of a new research project.
Yeah.
And he decided that he really liked the stuff that we did.
Yeah.
Back when he was an undergraduate.
Wow.
And and this is a long time ago. This is like 30 years ago.
From when he worked on it.
Yeah, I guess it was 30 years ago from when 30 years ago he got his undergraduate degree from the University of Arizona.
Wow.
25 years ago he graduated from Harvard with a doctorate.
Yeah.
24 years ago, he got a job as a professor at MIT.
Wow.
And he started working on
that same topic,
on electrochemistry, and he is still a professor at MIT, and he is still working on
that problem he brought to you.
He is now in he is now in chemical engineering, and he's doing very well for himself.
That's very cool.
Yeah,
that's a very cool story.
So this is this is okay, and so this is all tied in with teaching was a new thing for me.
Yeah.
And this had nothing like that had ever happened to me.
You never had to deal with this, right?
I had never had an experience like with a student, all the time when I was in school, or being a grad student, or being a postdoc, or anything, and all kinds of things, So, and it was happening at the same time that I was discovering other things about being a teacher at the college level. And a lot of the things about being a teacher at the college level were going back to things that I had learned, or so I thought, when I was a college student.
Yeah.
And it turned out I didn't know I didn't know anything about calculus, algebra, geometry.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting. So this is really cool because I had some experience in graduate school with mathematics.
Yeah.
And I also taught. And it's interesting because like when you take calculus as an undergraduate, you see what's going on, you see some series and whatever, and you get through the class and you do well. But then you go on, you study mathematics at a higher level, And then you go back to these topics and you're like, okay, like what we're doing here is pretty straightforward, but you start to notice like some of the subtleties. We were like, oh, like I hope no one asks this question.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's a it's not an easy answer. And I thought back to when I was a student, I was like, wow, I never really thought about that.
Yeah.
Right? Like how some of these topics are not trivial.
You do not see this stuff until years later.
You don't see this till years later, but then you go back to teach it and you're like, oh, like that's pretty interesting.
Yeah.
And how to teach those things. Yeah, it's a whole different perspective.
It like opens your eyes to a whole lot of stuff.
Yeah, so I liked calculus when I was learning to teach it. Way more than when I took it.
Oh my gosh.
Way more than when I took
100%.
it. Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, and maybe I'm biased because I liked math more, but like I was like, wow, this is interesting.
No, you're not biased. That's the way it is.
Yeah, it's very interesting.
That's
so.
fact.
Yeah. So what was your experience like teaching, having not taught, and now you're a professor?
Yeah, that's right.
Because now you're teaching now, and you taught for a long time. So you didn't give up on it.
Yeah.
But what were those early days like?
Yeah, that's right. Well, I didn't know what the heck I was doing.
Yeah,
but,
we still don't. We still don't. I don't, at least.
No. And in fact, okay, so like a lot of math professors, I had the opportunity to teach the same course over and over, or at least maybe not over and over.
Yeah.
Without anything else in between.
Sure.
But many times I would revisit the same course.
Yeah.
And
they're on cycles, you teach
that's right.
linear algebra every year, every 2 years.
Exactly, yeah. Linear algebra was one of the differential equations, calculus.
Yeah.
And so, and at the end of every time I would say, well, that was fun and different, but next time I'm gonna
next time I'm
gonna do it
make some changes.
And I kept doing that, and I think one of the things. Okay, fast forward to when I've been teaching 30 years, I was doing that less.
Okay.
I began to like copy what I had done before.
Yeah.
And use the notes that I had done before. Yeah. And when I saw that I was doing that, I thought, wait, maybe it's time for me to retire.
Gotcha.
Because I was, I'm very happy that I spent 30 years in a growth mindset. But then
it can get, I can see, I mean, working with professors who were close to retirement, you kind of see when like you're in just the motion of it. It's, there's not a lot of liveliness to it. You just kind of running through the motions.
That's right. So that's right. So that was, okay, but anyway, all it took was joining the Peace Corps.
Yeah.
All of a sudden.
So how did you find out about the Peace Corps?
I'm not going through the motions anymore. So I spent. I spent a lot of. I didn't think about Peace Corps when I was graduating from college. Partly because Cambridge University, it's not in the U.S.
Right.
Nobody was telling me about Peace Corps.
Yeah.
And
coming out of your undergrad.
Yeah.
When most people, maybe not most, people that join the Peace Corps out of undergrad, it's on the radar.
Back in the day, that it was very much like new college graduate kind of thing.
Yeah.
Not so many retirees or later or mid-career people. But from the time when I started working at the University of Arizona, which turns out is a fairly big Peace Corps.
I was going to say, it's a big Peace Corps college.
It's a pretty big Peace Corps college. Yeah. There are a lot of,
it's a big Peace
There were employees, there were, let me just turn this one off.
Well, make sure who is it?
It is Saram. I will call her
take
back.
it. Oh, take it.
I will call her back.
Okay. We can pause that.
Oh, well. I will talk to Saram later this evening, but you have to.
Who is Saram?
Promise.
Promise, is it your
my neighbor who came to
hang out with us?
Yeah, that's right. She and I are a team.
Cool.
So.
Coming out of undergrad, not a lot. It wasn't on the radar.
That's right, not on the radar at all. Yeah. But when I got to when I got to the U of A, there were a bunch of people around. Some had who were turned Peace Corps volunteers, and there was one friend who had decided that he was mid-career, he was 30-something.
Okay.
And he had been a landscape architect.
Okay.
But he decided he wanted to change of scene, and Peace Corps was what he found, and I didn't know anything about Peace Corps, but I was very interested in what he had done. For my second marriage, my second wife was the child of 2 Peace Corps volunteers who'd been in the Peace Corps in 1962.
I didn't.
Second year of Peace Corps.
Wow.
My parents-in-law met in Belize, which was British Honduras back in the day.
Out of here.
Okay, so
that's a crazy story.
So all of a sudden, I was like surrounded by. I had Peace Corps in-laws.
Yeah.
And every time that they had parties,
at U of A, yeah.
It was like Peace Corps. Everybody was returned Peace Corps volunteers.
Amazing.
And they were always talking about their experiences. And in retrospect, the amazing thing wasn't that I was that I did not immediately start thinking, how do I join?
You were like, no.
I kept thinking, wow, what an incredible experience these people had when they were young.
Because it's true, they did it when they were young.
Yeah,
and that was the normal thing.
That's right. And it wasn't until again when I was when I was thinking about retirement, because of 30 years, because of thinking maybe I should do something different with teaching. Because I looked at my status in the Arizona State retirement system, and I realized that there was no.
It wasn't going to get much better.
It was not going to get any better. Might as well retire right away.
Yeah.
All of those things.
Collided, right?
Yeah, that's right. At the same time, as along with the realization that Peace Corps was not just for the young.
Yeah.
So that was not one thing in particular, but kind of like everything was coming from all different directions, and it hit at the same time. So it was also at the same time that COVID was still around. It was the same time when you were being pulled out of Peace Corps.
The 2019 time, 2020?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
2020,
I retired in 2021.
Oh, okay.
So all my thinking about retirement was 2019, 2020. I made the decision in 2020, but nothing happens quickly at the university.
Well, you give your time, your notice.
Yeah.
It's not easy replacing a professor. That's one thing.
Especially me. True. That's right.
It's true. Well, you still hold a position.
I am now a professor emeritus.
Yes, which is special, and I never actually really understood what that means. So could you explain it?
Yeah. Basically, it means that I'm for financial purposes, I'm retired.
You're not getting
no more obligations.
No benefits. Yeah.
And I'm getting my pension and things like that. But I get a lot of the benefits. Space, I have my space in the department.
Yes.
I have a desk. In an office.
Access.
That's
to the university.
I'm a member of I have the library at my disposal. I have all the facilities. All the privileges of being a faculty member. With the exception of actually teaching.
Having to do.
And I could probably even supervise. I could not be the main supervisor on a graduate thesis. But I could be a member of a committee.
Which is nice.
On a graduate thesis. Absolutely.
Which is nice. You give some guidance, some advice, questions.
Yeah. Basically what it means is professor emeritus is that the university is giving you the opportunity to remain active in your field, intellectually active in your field.
But it's special because it's not a widely held thing. Like how many in the math department would you say are active, like professor emeritus?
Okay. You can, active is a relative term.
Well,
I'm probably one of the most active.
Okay.
But most of the people that take the trouble to retire that take the trouble to apply for and acquire emeritus status are the ones who intend to
do something.
Yes, that's right. And so they. Okay. It's kind of self-selected.
Okay, so I didn't know that.
It's there are people who retire and
they're
vanish.
done.
They're in their motorhomes. They're traveling the world.
Yeah.
They're on the golf course.
Okay.
Or their yacht.
I see.
Or those are not professor emerituses.
Okay.
Or emeritus.
I never knew because I in my math department we had one for sure, and I just he was a very distinguished member of the department, was still kind of around.
There you go.
And he was a very respected and admired individual. So there was always a lot of
that's right. Yeah, so it's a big deal.
Cool.
And I was very happy to be, I am still, and in fact, that's one of the, one of the parts of applying to be an emeritus professor. Do you intend to remain active in your profession?
Right.
And I was already thinking about Peace Corps, but I thought Peace Corps, teaching, math.
Yeah.
That's active in the profession.
Yeah.
So
sure.
so I'm U of A is proud of me.
Very cool.
And so and from time to time, my U of A friends who are on Facebook, they'll say, "Hey, we're proud of you."
Yeah. Well, you mentioned you went back to Cambridge. You traveled recently.
Yeah, that's right.
And you met some of you had a reunion, I think it was.
That's right.
Yeah, and you mentioned like people thinking that you doing the Peace Corps is very cool.
Absolutely.
I'm gonna add in a picture of you in your smock.
Oh yeah.
In Cambridge. That's such a cool picture.
It's It was absolutely And so when I had that smock made, I asked, Wahab and I went back and forth with ideas for different colors.
Cool.
And I really wanted to have one so the colors of the smock were the colors of my undergraduate college.
Very cool. So that's very special.
Yeah, that's right. So I was there at my undergraduate college.
You had this planned out.
Wearing,
Very cool.
Oh, months in advance.
Yeah.
So I was wearing the college colors at the college.
Very cool.
That's right, looking fantastic.
Oh, top notch.
Yeah, looking better than all.
You best looking. You had to be.
Yeah, I was.
Who was wearing something cooler than a smock?
That's right.
Really? Wait, people wear a suit?
You can tell that African fashion is just like, whoa.
Yeah, it is. It's a very special thing.
That's right. So anyway, everybody else they were indeed envious, and because most people, almost everybody, when they go back for their reunion, and by the way, the counting is funny. In Britain, they count your
it's like your enrollment year
as your enrollment year.
Yeah, your enrollment year.
So it was my 45th reunion, which is not. You
didn't graduate 45 years ago.
No, but I started 45 years ago. So it was our 45th, and everybody's like in their early 60s.
Yeah.
Everybody is like coasting.
Yeah.
That's right. Nobody's like starting anything new. I was the one.
Yeah.
And
very cool.
Everybody's going like, "Can you do that? Are you allowed to?"
Yeah. Well, and you mentioned we started this off with like how your health and maybe I'll lump in well-being, which is a vague term.
Yes. Okay. Mental health and physical health.
Yeah, being better than it was in the U.S. And I agree with you. Like I think that's a really special thing, but it's kind of like on a knife's edge because some people have a hard time with mental and physical health in Peace Corps. But I'm of the opinion, or not of the opinion, but I'm of the experience that it's been very positive for me too. So I'm sure at your reunion, having kind of a second mini career and being healthy was a shock.
I was glowing.
Yeah. It's really special.
Yeah.
It's a very special thing.
So it was, I got a lot of compliments on the smock and on how I was looking and on having the initiative to
do something new.
try something different.
Yeah.
So it was actually a very positive experience going back, seeing people whom I hadn't seen or been in touch with for decades.
Did you remember many, or not maybe many, but a few?
Most. That's right. Most I was able to recognize immediately, despite hair loss.
Don't let me dump your hat.
That's right. The women had hardly changed. Maybe hair that had been brown was now gray.
A little gray, yeah.
Yeah.
And yours was?
Mine was gone.
Okay. You had hair back then?
Did I have hair? It was the 1970s.
You have to send me a picture. I'll put it in here. We'll snap it in.
That's right. Brian May meets...
I don't know, Brian. Well, when I see the picture...
That's right. I was Brian May back in the 1970s.
I'm going to send you a message so you remind.
Okay, yes.
That's funny.
And I also had a beard, back in those days, besides having, long wavy brown hair. So I did not look anything like my college self.
Yeah.
But a lot of people did.
Yeah.
And
it's a long time.
That's right. And the exception was a woman who had long hair, like really long straight hair, like a mermaid or something, back in our college time.
Yeah.
And at some point, not only had her hair gone completely white, but she decided to get like a buzz cut.
Wow, big shock.
So completely different.
Something's not right.
Yeah, that's right. And And she wasn't somebody that I'd spent like a whole lot of time with, so I wasn't like totally familiar with the contours of her face. And she had changed her name upon getting married. So
there you go. So you're like, who is this?
That's right. There were
imposter.
There were no clues, except for when I said, "Hey, it's nice to see you. Are you from my year?" She said, "I'm Sarah."
she called your bluff right away. I'm Sarah.
That's right. And then, then we were face to face, and I was able to, to detach
electrodes,
to detach the hair, to detach the present hair, to reattach the former hair, and there it was. It was Sarah. It made
sense.
Yes, that's right. It came back in a flash. But
it would be funny if she was like, I'm Barb. And you're like, oh, Barb, so great to see you. She really screwed you, but
she played
it straight.
That's right. She was. It was still fine.
We dated. Oh yeah.
I did have the presence of mind to say, oh, your hair is different.
Your hair is different. That's funny.
And she said, your
hair is different too. You're both. That's funny. That's pretty funny.
Yeah, we cracked up. So that was.
There you go.
That was an extreme, but the
most of the encounters were.
The reunion was with a combination of things that were like that a little bit. And,
it's funny.
Yeah, that's right. So.
I've never been to a college reunion. I graduated my undergrad in 2019, so it's early, but I think of college reunions from the movie Good Will Hunting, when the MIT professor goes and they're just kind of, he won the Fields Medal, so everyone's like, but they're just kind of walking around, your little champagne glass. But that's funny. So cool. Yeah. So you joined the Peace Corps.
Yeah.
What walk me through like what you thought your first couple weeks or months, like during training.
Yeah.
What was your experience like in Peace Corps?
Yeah.
What did you think?
I was I knew that it was going to be like completely different than anything I'd done before. Mm-hmm. So I was ready for like totally different stuff.
Yeah.
To the point where if something like was similar to what it had been before, it was like, whoa.
Yeah.
Like these, when you're teaching middle school, we have the same. I was prepared for differences in middle school teaching from college teaching. I was a little surprised to see how much is similar.
Gotcha.
We're always trying to connect what do the students know to what they don't quite know.
Yeah.
What are we talking about today? And always at the university. I would be seeing students that I'd never seen before. They'd taken my class.
Okay.
I would not have had them in a previous class most of the time.
Yeah.
And so it was always like, finding out what do these kids know.
Yeah. Who's in my class?
Absolutely. When did they learn it? Did they learn it?
Right.
Oftentimes they did not learn important stuff in middle school.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was one reason why I was looking forward to teaching middle school.
Yeah.
To make sure
Be
that
a part of that.
Ghanaian middle school students learned the stuff that American middle school students hadn't. But I discovered that, hey, this is the same. It's the same exact deal.
Same material.
You're talking about something in class, and somebody's not getting it, so you're like going over it. And they're still not getting it, and then at some point you realize that there's something else that they didn't get that I thought they got.
Yes.
That they didn't know.
The rabbit hole's deeper.
That's right, and then it's like, oh my gosh, okay, well we're gonna
let's take a step back.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
So that was I had some deja vu moments like that, where it was Ghanaian middle school students are not exactly the same as U.S. college students, but we had some very very similar moments. It was Ghanaian classrooms are a lot more interactive, and partly that's because when we were in the Peace Corps, they said, you will have an interactive classroom. You must have an interactive classroom.
Yeah, I think it's pushed, and I think we get kind of a free pass being from the outside.
Yeah.
I think if a Ghanaian teacher were to try to be there are teachers that do it, but I think the students might just be a little bit more.
It's not what they're used to.
Yeah, but you have like, you know, a teacher Kojo come and want to do some activity. They're like, oh.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Jump on board. So
yeah, that's right. So that was definitely. I really liked that during my practicum.
Yeah.
When I was at the junior high school up the hill.
Yep.
And then when I got to my site, that was fun. It was different being like the real teacher.
Okay.
At site.
Oh, I see. From training.
Yeah, that's right. Compared with training, where the real teacher is like in the classroom.
Yeah.
And the students.
You're kind of like a substitute.
Yeah, that's
teacher.
Right. The students knew that the real teacher was there.
Yeah.
But at my school, when I was in charge, the students knew that I was new, and they were trying to get away with stuff, and I didn't know how to deal with it. I didn't.
Sure, you didn't have to deal with that per se.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
With college students, they're not trying to, trying to challenge your authority at every time,
right?
And with an agenda that's different from yours. But so I had, I spun my wheels a certain amount of time, and had discipline issues. But luckily, I'm sure everybody goes through the process of at first it seems like the entire class is out of control. Mm-hmm. Then you realize it's a couple of students who are
right. Yeah.
That's right, who are taking advantage, and then the rest of them are kind of following the lead of the others.
And I think of it too like it's your first time driving on the highway.
Oh my gosh.
Where it's like everything's really fast.
And they're all coming at you.
And and then you start to settle in and you're like, okay, it's just this one dude who's kind of driving fast.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not so bad. Let me just, So I get what you mean. When you first get to the site, when you get to site and in the classroom, you're like, whoa.
It was, absolutely. Yeah. So it was a learning experience, and the other teachers were saying, hey, we can see you're having a tough time. Is there anything we can do to help?
Well, that's really nice.
And I was saying, well, thanks. I'll let you know.
Yeah.
But I knew it was something that first of all they weren't experiencing because they're in the system. It's and they have they're used to whacking the silver sticks.
Say, they have a disciplinary method.
That's right. But say what you will about it, it's what the students are used to. They know. Okay, their actions and consequences. They're familiar with.
And this is a sensitive topic which we don't have to talk about. But I don't hold probably the traditional volunteer, like education volunteer stance that is so anti-caning across the board.
Not at all.
I don't have that opinion. So
it's a thing in Ghana, and and everybody, it's part of everybody's everybody's environment.
And it's a broad term caning because there's frequency, there's degrees, there's for what disciplinary issues. Mm-hmm. So it's you have to be very specific. But I look back at when I was a student, and I acted out in part because when I got in trouble, the discipline came. It was so delayed. I would get in trouble on Tuesday, and I have detention on Friday.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So by Friday after school, I'm like, why am I here? Right?
It's that's right.
And
that's right. Maybe there's an intellectual connection, but there's no
right. I mean, behavior change.
There's behavior. It's too late for behavior.
If the teacher could have smacked me with a cane, I'm gonna be like, okay, I'm not gonna hit my buddy with a book.
And then you go back to your chair
because I don't want to. So I just think I would have responded. Yeah. It's all hypothetical, but a lot of education volunteers are like, no caning, it's unacceptable at all. And sometimes I'm like,
then we have to kind of on our own resources for figuring stuff out.
Yeah. So the Ghanaian teachers have that.
That's right. Yeah. So they're in a structure,
which we don't.
I had to create my own structure, and I'm not saying that this is for everybody, but I started going to class with a with one of those big bottles of peanuts.
Nice.
Of groundnuts.
Groundnuts, yeah.
And And on the moments when I would write stuff on the board and say, okay, when I write stuff on the board, the rule is you write it in your notebook. That's what the notebook. That's
how we're going to work.
That's how we're going to work. And so then I would walk through the classroom, and anybody who happened to be writing in the notebook would get like a
little couple of nuts,
couple of ground nuts.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden,
everyone's writing.
All of a sudden, everyone's writing.
Yeah.
Even the bad kids.
Yeah.
Because if they're not writing, then they're not getting ground nuts. They're not getting attention. Yeah. I'm not paying attention to them.
Yeah.
The ones who are getting the attention, the ones who are getting the ground nuts.
And more ground nuts for them.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. And so, it's cost me a certain amount in ground nuts.
But in headache time, it can save you some.
That's right.
Saves your beer costs at home.
And that's right. And of course there has grown up the students are always hungry, and I think they're not getting enough protein at home. So they're desperate for ground nuts.
Yeah.
And they will resort to subterfuges to
get ground nut.
Yes, they'll say, Mr. Bruce, you didn't give me ground nuts.
Yeah.
So then I have to like make a check mark on in their notebook when I've given the ground nuts.
Yeah.
And then I go around, and then if the check mark is too close to the edge of the paper, they'll tear it off and say, Mr. Bruce.
That's funny.
Then
yeah.
So
they're working the system.
Yeah, that's right. And so, but great thing is, I've had a year with them.
Yeah.
I know them.
Yeah. So you're handling them now again? Or like how?
Okay.
Oh, you teach all forms. Or no, just form 2.
No, you're right. You're right. So my primary responsibility is teaching Form 2.
Yes. And that was last year or this year?
Both years.
Oh,
so the students who were my primary students last year, my main students
are now
last
Form
year,
3s.
they're now Form 3.
Okay.
I know them all very well.
Yeah.
They still want to get ground nuts, but I'm not giving them ground nuts.
Yeah.
I'm saying, hey, I'm not your math teacher. Talk to your math teacher, Mr. Charles. He'll give you ground nuts.
There you go.
And Mr. Charles does not give ground nuts.
He does not give. He gives canes.
He whacks him with a stick. And we all know that. Everybody's laughing.
That's funny.
Even Mr. Charles is laughing. That's right. We get along really well.
That's funny.
And meanwhile, the kids who are my students now, they were in Form 1 last year.
Yeah, but they saw this.
They saw this.
Yes.
So they saw this. I knew them. They were coming to math club. I was learning their names. They, when they got to my class this year, I knew their names.
Yeah.
I knew their personalities.
Cool.
They knew what to expect. They knew that if they are doing the right thing in class, then I will do the right thing by them, and we will all have a good time.
That's awesome.
So I'm having such a better year.
Yeah.
Now than I did last year. And so I'm thinking, what a shame I'm not here teaching for a third year.
Yeah.
Things would be amazing.
Yeah.
But maybe as we were talking about, maybe we will have third years.
Yeah. So let's talk about this. So give me, just again for people I know, but a run through what is a third year in Peace Corps? What could that be? And I guess, okay, let me explain. Mm-hmm. So Peace Corps, when you sign up, and this is interesting because now they have the pilot programs. So there could be a time where you could do 15 months of service.
Oh, yeah.
3 months of training, 1 year at site. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. How Peace Corps has been since birth has been 27 months.
Yeah.
3 years of training, 2 years of service. But then there's an option to extend into third years. So for Ghana,
Yeah, it's the rainy season.
It's the rainy season.
We're getting another.
We're getting a bath. But yeah, so like, what are third year opportunities for volunteers in Ghana?
Yeah. Okay. So. Oh, excuse me. So in the year ahead of us, people have been doing a bunch of different things.
Yep.
Theo was a math teacher for his regular 2 years. Now he's going to be working on literacy.
Yeah.
For his third year.
At a primary school.
Yeah. Yes.
So
okay. So he's changing ages. He's changing subjects.
Sites.
He's going to be in a new place.
Yeah.
Same country, but everything else is different.
Yeah.
Carrie was a junior high school math teacher.
Yeah.
Now she's doing Peace Corps training support.
Yeah.
Nikita, I'm not sure what he's doing, but
he's at Cape Coast teaching at the school for the deaf. So
whoa,
totally different. Bismarck, I'm going to do one if you want one, or if you're okay.
I'm okay. I think I'm okay for now. Yes. What the heck? I will do another one.
Okay.
I
don't want to get this microphone on. I would yell normally.
It's
Let me grab
small.
this cola. Yeah, it's small, but it's good though. I mean, it's got me feeling good. It's like 7.5%.
Really?
Yeah.
Way to go, Guinness.
Way to go, Guinness. It's a good. I never drink Guinness before.
Oh, okay.
Like if I would never consider drinking a Guinness, but it's pretty popular in Ghana. I think. Like one of my colleagues loves it, and so
it's
yeah. It's a good beer.
Guinness is something.
I think when you were in Cambridge,
I discovered it like in my first year in Cambridge.
Yeah.
And at first my thought was, this is beer. This is weird, but it was very tasty, and I was very fond of it.
Sorry, boss. I beg. Bruce will take also
another one as well.
But don't worry.
Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. So wait. Yeah. So there's a math story with Guinness, which maybe you already know.
I'm not sure.
Which is that
peeling my nice label off.
Yeah. Oh yeah. You could save that.
I'll save this. This will go in the journal
as a memento. Oh yeah.
I have a nice journal.
Great. Yeah. So the Guinness Company was one of the first companies ever.
Fluid dynamics. We're talking about the glass.
No. Okay. So there's also an interesting question. Why do the bubbles go down in Guinness?
Yeah.
So that's fluid mechanics.
Okay.
And
tell your story. I don't want to derail.
It's very mysterious. But yeah, back in the day, like 100, 150 years ago.
Yeah.
They were. The Guinness Company was.
Thank you.
Thank you. That's fantastic.
Cool. And then Bismarck, come. You have to stand here. We're doing some video. Okay. So here, just hold this one. So just like say your name. Where are we?
Yeah, my name is Bismarck. We are here in Freedom Hotel, one of the best hotel in whole Volta region.
Yes.
Yeah, and I am Bismarck Tete, and these are my lovely friends. Yeah, you can see us.
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, boss.
Thank you, Bismarck.
Yes, so Bismarck is one of our homies.
Bismarck didn't say it, but he is the best waiter.
He is
at the
in all of Volta region.
Best waiter in Volta region.
Yeah. Cheers. Yeah. Here, I think this is how drinking works. We are 1 hour into the video, and we had one drink. So I think this is now our.
Okay, we're obviously.
This is our first drink this hour.
We're going to have to record another hour.
Or drink faster.
Yeah. Well, we're obviously not going outside.
We're not going outside now, so
yeah. Okay. Yeah. So very briefly,
the Guinness math.
The Guinness Company decided to get into quality control.
Okay.
Which involved sending like scientists out with to take samples of the beer of the Guinness that was being served at different pubs in the Dublin area, and then it would come back and they would like analyze it to see how the different landlords were treating the beer, if they were taking good care of it, and so on. And so they were among the first industrial organizations to take statistical sampling seriously. And so they hired a statistician to do some, to figure out some statistical theory.
Yeah.
Because the theory did not exist.
Really?
That's right. Even the theory did not exist.
Which is fascinating because statistics is talking about branches of mathematics, very, very applied.
It's big now, but it was not big 150 years ago.
That would be very interesting.
And so they got a guy called William Gossett, and he did some math and he figured out a way in which the Guinness Company could take a certain number of samples, could take samples from their places, do the math, and then come up with some meaningful answers. And nobody had done this before, and so he said to his employer, the Guinness Company, this is new and groundbreaking research. Can I publish it?
Yeah.
And
he had to do it anonymously, wasn't that?
Yes, that's right. And they said yes, but you cannot reveal that it's anything to do with the Guinness Company, because then our competitors
will be doing the same thing.
Will be doing the same thing. And so So he said. So he published it under the name of A Student.
Yes.
And so ever since then, the t-test in statistics has been known because it was published under the name Student rather than William Gossett.
Very cool.
So now, okay. So anyway,
cheers.
And we are benefiting from
150-year-old
statistical analysis and quality control.
That's very cool.
Yeah, but anyway, so where were we with? We were, I think, third years.
Yeah, extension opportunities. Yeah, because my first year at site, I taught Form 1. Well, my first term of first year, I taught all the forms.
Back in 2019.
No. Well, yes, 2019 and also 2023.
Okay.
But then, like you were mentioning, I didn't have those relationships with the students. And yeah, we can get into like educational theory of like how best to teach and whatnot. But I was like, screw this. I need as much time with one set of students as I can get. Because this, it's kind of like the breadth, depth.
Yep, breadth and depth.
I was too thin, too wide, too thin. And I wanted to be more narrow and deep. Yeah. So I was like, I'm teaching Form 1, I'm teaching math, science, ICT, English.
Oh, okay.
I will be with them. And then in my second year, 2024, I'm handling them in Form 2. So like you said.
Oh, okay, yeah, same students.
The groundnut story, I have it just without the groundnuts. Yeah.
That's right, but you're still paying attention.
I'm paying attention to it.
That's right.
And they know what's going on.
That's the real thing.
They know what's going on. So so Bruce and I were talking about how we both are interested in extending service and Peace Corps Ghana to a third year. Yeah. And so what would that look like for you?
Absolutely. Okay, so I think I mentioned that besides teaching my math classes, I'm also the one that brings in like extracurricular math activities. When it was Pi Day, we had a special game. We invented a game. We do origami. We do three-dimensional geometry. We make shapes, stuff like that.
Yeah, very cool stuff. By the way.
Yeah, that's right. And some of the stuff I had ideas for myself or knew about from before, and but some of the stuff I didn't. And one of the places I went to was I called up the African Institute of Mathematical Sciences in Accra to say, hey, do you do any work with children in schools? Do you have activities that I can use with my children? Yeah. And so they said, sure. We have programs for high school girls. We have summer camps. We have activities. And here are the links. And I said, you have summer camps? That's cool. If you ever have any camps and you need somebody, I would love to join you.
Yeah.
So sure enough, when summer came along, I get a call from this guy at Ames saying, hey, we're having a summer camp. You want to come and be a volunteer? Yeah. And I said, yeah, count me in. And I went and I had a great time. So I got to meet a bunch of wonderful people.
Yeah.
I hope this isn't too loud for...
Yeah, no, that's what I'm...
Yeah, that's right.
You're getting the real...
Yeah,
Ghana Ranger. It might just pass. It doesn't look too dark. Like,
yes.
It's light over there.
And it's coming on pretty quick. Yeah. We could always move the microphone is working perfectly because it's right here next to me.
Yeah, I think it's okay.
Yeah, I think we'll be okay. Yeah, okay. So we'll just we'll enjoy the rain and it'll be a little background noise.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I had a good time with the people from Ames, and it reminded me that all throughout Ghana, not just in my school, kids are not having enough fun in math class, and that the programs that
I'm just checking my phone.
Yeah. So there's a big need in Ghana for more math enrichment, extracurriculars, different activities, and so already, right, as soon as the camp ended, I was thinking, I wonder what the opportunities would be for working with AIMS.
Yeah.
After my Peace Corps service is finished. So that is as far as I got. I was thinking about it, and then when we got to our mid-service training, they started talking about, how would what are the options for a third year? And one option is to work with an organization that has goals aligned with Peace Corps goals, but it's a different organization.
Yeah.
And Yusuf leaned over to me and breathed down my neck, and he said, "Hey, Bruce, maybe that could be you at AIMS."
Hey.
So I was thinking it already. Yusuf read my mind, and so I sent the director of AIMS a message saying, "Hey, would you be interested in having me here for a third year?"
Yeah.
I have not heard back from the guy.
Okay.
But he's very busy.
Yeah.
And I'm not in a hurry.
Let's maybe
we have to relocate.
we're getting
rained on.
We're getting kind of blown on. So
Yeah.
let me pause this.
Okay.
All right, resume. Cool. I ran to the restroom and I took off my smock. It's raining really good. I got quite wet actually.
Yeah.
But yes, Bruce just said this will be a historical document. I really like recording I haven't done this often, but just the idea has been with me because we'll have this to look back on. And I think it's a really special thing.
Oh, incredibly.
Yeah, I think it's a special.
Nobody has ever had the patience to listen to me for like an hour altogether.
So it's funny to go back. Bruce and I, during pre-service training, we were on kind of like the same road going to training. So every morning I would meet Bruce at his house.
Yeah.
And we would...
Dylan would always arrive at the same time.
Yeah.
But I was always getting up later and later.
He was getting up later and later. So, I would meet Bruce with less and less clothes on throughout the months until eventually it's just...
That's right. Okay, so eventually I was like still in the bath.
Naked.
That's right. Luckily, Dylan was on the outside and I was on the inside.
A thin membrane separating the two. But
that's right. We were still in communication. That was when Dylan stopped saying, "I'll wait for you," and started saying, "I'll see you at the top."
I'll see you at the top. That's funny. Yeah, but no, we've from the beginning we've kicked it and gotten along. So.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So no, it's been good.
Yeah. So let's okay. We can pick up wherever. We do not have to pick up wherever we left off.
Okay. Let me ask you a question.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, we were almost finished talking about
the third year.
Yeah.
With AIMS.
Right. Yeah.
He hasn't got back to you. That's where I
guess that's where it is. That's where it is. But tell me about what you're thinking if you had a third year.
Yeah. So hopefully I haven't broken the news really to my family. So hopefully I don't watch the video this long.
Well, don't break the news to the family.
Yeah. So I am in my same community as 2019.
Yeah.
And so I've been with them now for if you put it this way,
this is huge.
So 2019.
Pretty soon you're going to be able to sit under the trees that you planted.
Yeah. I've been through 3 first terms.
Yeah.
At the school already, and so
it's huge.
I'm really comfortable at site. I was telling a friend. I called a friend from my first cohort today. Before lunch at Sky Plus.
Oh, okay.
And they were asking how Peace Corps is different the second time because they were a part of my 2019 group. Mm-hmm. And they would have loved to have rejoined, but they got married. They met shout out to Rob and Kelly. They were in my 2019 cohort. They met in Peace Corps. Mm-hmm. So something that's really different is I think of Peace Corps, you have this volunteer that decides to live in a different country for 2 years, but you have no idea where you're going or what you're going to be doing, right? And then you have this community who oftentimes applies for a volunteer years in advance, doesn't really know what's going on. Peace Corps comes for only a couple of meetings, and then eventually it's like, okay, like send someone from the community to meet the volunteer and bring them. And like, that's kind of it. You don't know anything about each other.
Yeah, that's it. It's an arranged marriage.
It's an arranged marriage. I always said it's like a blind date.
It is also.
But it's like a 2-year blind date, right? And like, that's a long time to be on a blind date. You really don't know what you're getting into. So, you know, I think there's a little bit of like, the volunteer is like, okay, I am going to use that when I'm recruiting. It's a
2-year blind date.
It's a 2-year blind date. It's a long time. So that blind dateness kind of exists for the 2 years. But when I decided to come back to my community, and let me put it this way.
It all of a sudden became a second date.
Yeah, I rejoined Peace Corps not knowing if I could go back to my site. And that was like a hurdle I had to get over, because I didn't know how I felt about going back to Ghana, but being in a different community.
Yeah.
That would be kind of, I really would feel bad about that.
Did you even know you were going back to Ghana?
No. Oh yeah, I applied only for Ghana. I was only going to go back to Ghana, but I didn't know where I would go.
Sure.
So when I found out that I was going back, I was really happy. But when I got back to site in 2023, everyone in the community was like, wow, you came back. You know, like you didn't have to. And I feel like I kind of got this like...
It was just like a second date. It is a really big deal.
Yeah,
if you get that second date.
It's a really big deal, because people, I feel like, no longer maybe felt bad for me, or like they didn't feel like I was volunteering. They're like, this guy chose to come back.
Everything was different.
Everything was different. Like, I think people stopped treating me like I was this temporary person. Like I was gonna go and leave and never remember them again. They're like, oh wow, this dude is like...
That's the first date experience.
This guy's around. So, yeah, so I'm really, really happy at site, have really great relationships. I'm teaching my Form 2s, have really great relationships with them. I'm interested in staying for a 3rd year to handle them in Form 3. So I can handle them through the BECE, which is the going to high school exam.
That's right.
And it's not because I think...
That would be a huge thing if you can pull it off.
It would be cool. If I had to bet money, I bet the results would be above average. Not because I'm a great teacher, just because they have a teacher. But I'm not even staying for the results. I think it's just to make that commitment to them.
Sure.
You know?
It's like to be there on their big day.
Yeah. Like we've been to this together, and we've been through a lot. We've learned a lot. I mean, I have pictures of them in Form 1 a year ago. And I look at them now and I'm like, man, they've grown so much. And I know next year they're going to be like Form 3s, which are, you know, young adults. And I think it's pretty cool. And, you know, I'm really kind of battling with this idea of like, what else is there to do that could be more meaningful?
No, nothing.
I mean,
there's other things to do, but nothing would be any more meaningful than this.
Yeah, like, but there is a little bit of like,
and this is your chance.
This is my chance.
It's your moment is here.
Yeah.
It will not be here next year. It wasn't there last year.
No, so
this is the time.
It'd be good, but it feels like a big commitment. But put it this way: if I had joined Peace Corps and the agreement was 3 years, I'd be very happy right now. Like I feel comfortable going into that 3rd year. But because it was 2 years, I feel like I'm confronted with this decision to stay or not stay. But really, there shouldn't be a decision. It should be natural. Just go. Just do it.
You have the option, but there's no reason to take it because you have this. Like if you have the possibility to continue on in this direction. You know, it's like maybe it's like skiing. You know, you're on the way. You're heading down the mountain.
Yeah.
You know, why stop?
No, and if I had signed up for 3 years, there's nothing that would make me leave early. So if I just think of it like I signed up for 3 years, I'm happy to do 3 years, and not really think of it as a choice, then yeah. But I was talking to you. I don't want to spill the beans, but my sister is having a boyfriend. My sister still lives at home. I would presumably go home. This might be the last time period where we live together as a family forever.
Sure.
And that's kind of,
Well, because you'll be, are you 29 now?
I'll be 29 in a couple weeks.
Oh my gosh.
Yep.
So if you do a third year, you'll be turning 30.
Yeah, I'll be home theoretically.
Oh yeah, that's right.
A couple months before I turn 30.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, which is crazy. I feel, going back to our mental and physical health, I feel 22. I really do. Much more, I don't want to say, I'm not a wise person, but comparing myself to myself, when I was 22, I'm much more wise now, but I feel, I feel good. So
the thing about being 22 is, you graduate from college, and all of a sudden it's like, a whole lot of opportunities are opening up.
Yeah, you're in the deep end.
And you have, you're in that same situation now.
Yeah.
You've accomplished some big things, and now you're saying, okay, that's great. I can do anything I want now. So what is that?
Yeah.
What will be the next thing?
Yeah, and it's a big question. I think that's one of the cool things about doing Peace Corps when you're younger. I mean, I think there's benefits to both sides, but I think when you're younger and do Peace Corps, it's like the world's your oyster. I mean, there's nothing that if you put your mind to, you couldn't stick out and figure out.
Absolutely.
So thinking about it, and there's also an NGO that
no way. You didn't tell me about an NGO.
There's an NGO that the headmaster at one of the schools in my school circuit is the founder of.
Whoa.
And it's pretty grassroots. It's not super established. It's interesting because he has all the initiative, but maybe not some of the organizational prowess. And one of the things
I'm sure he is learning fast.
One of the things that was really holding him back was having a website.
Oh, okay.
So he was like, "Hey,
that is such an easy thing to get up and
going." So
and then his NGO was like the next level.
Way more formal, and I'm kind of using it as like a nice excuse to really pressure him into like, what's your mission? What have you done in the past? Right? And he'll be like, "Oh, we did this like, school supply giveaway." I'm like, "Okay, when? How many kids were there? From what schools? What did you give away?"
Yeah.
Right? And just like really making him think like, okay, like all of these details are important if I'm going to have an NGO. So he lives in Adidome, which is my district capital, to the south of me. So I talked to Yusuf and Musa about this, and the idea would be I would teach at the school Monday to Thursday.
The school where you are now?
Where I'm at now. I stay in the community. And then Friday is market day in Adidome.
Oh,
so I can get a market car to Adidome.
Okay.
So I would do NGO work on Friday and Saturday.
Oh my gosh.
And then Sunday I would go back to my site. But I would basically have two housing places. And
you'd have a place where you can crash in Adidome.
Because there's no network in my site.
Oh,
so I can't do any of the computer work.
That's where you do the tech work.
Yeah. So I would do the tech work in Adidome with him.
Would you be like staying in his house or renting a room?
I'd be renting a room somewhere. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But I talked to him. It's like 80 CDs a month.
No way.
Which is what? $4 is 60. So it's like $5 US, $6 US a month.
That is exactly what it is.
And it's self-contained. So bedroom, bathroom, kitchen.
What? You have a bathroom and a kitchen for
80 CDs.
Whoa.
I know. It's a good deal.
Okay. Forget everything else.
Why don't I just live that? I'll do that. Yeah. And this is interesting. I was talking to someone like the monthly stipend we make is about half of our readjustment allowance per month.
Yes.
So for every month we're in Ghana, we could stay after Peace Corps for 2 months. So you do 2 or 3 years of service, you can stay in Ghana for 4 to 6 years after.
Without doing anything.
Making the same amount of money.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, I mean that's
it's a good deal.
And that's kind of the calculation, not exactly the same calculation, but it's similar to the calculation that I was doing when I was thinking, well, I like working with the people at AIMS.
Yeah.
Would I be able to afford to live in Ghana and work for AIMS if nobody was paying me?
Yeah.
The answer is yes.
Yes. It's awesome.
And it's same kind of calculation.
And you're living good.
And I'd be living like a king because I have my
your U.S. retirement. That's big money.
Yeah.
That's big money, Bruce.
Yeah.
Man, when I need my 80 CD a month, I'm coming for Bruce. Yeah.
That's
you lose $5 in your pocket. That's my monthly rent. Yeah. So I was telling my parents, they visited me in Ghana, and I was telling them that a brand new condo in Accra costs 100,000 USD.
Whoa, that's nothing.
Nothing. Paid.
And you're in the middle of
paid for.
Yeah, and you're like downtown.
Live like a king.
Penthouse. That's right.
Right. So you can move to Ghana with your retirement and save money. And live more well off than in the U.S.
Absolutely. You don't have to work at all.
Yeah,
that is also one of the possibilities I've got in mind.
Really? See? Yeah.
Yeah. Except I want to travel in Africa.
Okay. I recommend
many places I want to see. Yeah. And not to hurry. I want to be able to spend like a month in Tanzania.
Oh. So
You've been in Tanzania.
I've been to Tanzania, and I would recommend getting in touch with Peace Corps volunteers.
Oh.
Because
just any random one, or your specific.
There's that Peace Corps Ghana, or there's that Peace Corps Africa chat.
Oh, okay.
And just say, hey, I want to visit, Uganda. Any Peace Corps volunteers there, and like being able to travel, but do it with a volunteer there that knows some of the language.
Sure.
Like it's a different way of traveling.
And like where to get, which places have good food.
Yes.
And
like we're gonna get, like we did Kenke for New Year's last year. Bruce and I went for breakfast.
Absolutely.
You can buy breakfast at the hostel or the resort. Bruce and I went into the little village, found a lady selling Kenke out of her house.
Yeah.
Sat with her family.
That's right.
And had Kenke.
Chowing down. And it was like New Year's Day or something.
Yeah.
Best way to wake up on New Year's Day.
Awesome. So like the fact that you can go to Uganda, Tanzania, Kenya, South Africa, Senegal, Morocco, and you can do that with volunteers.
That's
awesome.
Yeah. Peace Corps opens doors.
Open doors.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll never travel like I would have before Peace Corps, now having experienced this. Like, I think about how, what it really means to experience a culture, Yeah. Like, there's nothing wrong with, like, going to the Capitol and, like, doing a tour and, like,
sure.
taking a private car to Hokwe.
Yeah.
But, man, like...
Yeah, if you take a little more time and you take the same cars that
public transportation,
and you're eating at the food stops, and you're like mixing it up with people and just waiting around for the next car.
Yeah, you go A to B the same way, but what you experience and what you see is totally different. Totally different. Yeah. So I'll never travel like, but if I'm with my family, it's different. But yeah, I'm just saying. Yeah. I think about now how if I go somewhere, what it really means to go somewhere.
Absolutely.
Yeah, what it means.
Yeah.
Because shoot, today Bruce and I...
The journey is the destination,
Bruce and I were trying to get a yellow here, and we're like, man, no one wants to stop for us. So we're like, what's going on? What's going on? There's a festival in Ho. Something's going on.
Yeah.
And we turn around and there's a no stopping sign because we're in front of the police department. We're like, oh.
That's right.
We're learning.
Every moment.
Every moment we're learning. Yeah. So yeah, what that means when you go to a new country. Yeah, but that's cool. That's cool.
Yeah. So that is absolutely what I want to be doing. You know, I like my work. I want to keep on doing the work. It's making a difference. But I'm here in Africa.
Yeah.
There's so much to see.
So much to see.
So much to do. So much to learn. And so much to experience.
Yeah.
So.
Absolutely. But yeah, very cool. Very cool. I'm trying to think. I don't know. So that's pretty much what I got. You have any questions you want to talk about?
We're hitting them. We're hitting them. I'm sure we'll have more later.
Yeah.
And who knows? You might even have the video camera at the same time.
There we go. All right. So maybe we'll put a pause on this.
Sure.
It's still raining, but yeah. We'll take a hiatus.
We still have our beer.
We still have our beer. So.
Yeah.
But cool. Bruce.
Dylan. It's been fabulous.
The Ghana snap. Yeah, it's a pleasure. Bruce is a dear friend of mine, and maybe we'll be kicking it a year from now again.
Well, that's right. We'll do this again.
We'll do this again.
Okay.
All right.
Come back and see us.
Come back again for round 2. So. All right. Thank you, everyone.